You okay? بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على خاتم الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه والتابعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين أما بعد رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي اللهم ابسط علينا رحمتك وانشر علينا من حكمتك وافتح لنا فتوح العارفين ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم اللهم لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Okay. Do you remember exactly where we stopped last? Jazakumullah khairan. We will begin at the beginning of the chapter of Fara'idul Wudu, the obligations of wudu. Now, there is an entire chapter over here in the book that I have right in front of me, Al-Jawahir al-Zakiyah. I would advise you to buy it. Write the name down for the students who want to be students of knowledge. If you just want to attend the classes here, don't buy it. For those who want to keep a library, a fiqh library, then you have to buy this. But you have to be able to read this with Arabic. If your Arabic is bad, basically you don't know it, you don't know Arabic, you won't be able to read this. But you should have this in your literally little library that you keep at home. Understood? Al-Jawahir al-Zakiyah. I'm not telling you to go for the Hashiyah, just go for the Sharh of it. It's going to assist you as we move along, inshallah. And you notice that majority of what we teach does not come out of this one. Al-Jawahir al-Zakiyah للعلامة أحمد بن تركي المالكي. للعلامة أحمد بن تركي المالكي. الفقه الأكبر. Yeah, الفقه الأكبر is a book on Aqidah. Because Imam Abu Hanifa, he wrote a book known as Al-Fiqh al-Akbar. He is the only one that started calling the fiqh of Aqidah the greatest of fiqh. The fiqh above every fiqh. And it's true. The subject of Aqidah comes first. That's why you'll notice at the very beginning when we started, we said there are three types of fiqh. I want you to recall this all the time. There are three types of fiqh. Number one is fiqh of aqidah, your belief. And then we have fiqh al-amal, which is our deeds that we do. And then we have fiqh al-tazkiyah, which is spirituality that does what? Cleanses the heart. So that what you do it for the sake of Allah. That's the reason why. But Al-Imam Abu Hanifa, which majority of you, mashallah, over here are Hanaf. You follow the Hanafi school. He is the one that sets the subject of Aqidah by calling it Al-Fiqh al-Akbar. That's why there's an entire book into that. Okay, Al-Jawahiru al-Zakiyyah. Don't forget that. Lil-Allama Ahmad ibn Turki al-Maliki. Understood? But I would advise those of the students that literally read Arabic. And I'm not saying reading as in just reading as Quran. You read and you know what you're reading. Because I can give you an example. You can look. Shuf. There's no fatha kasra. Take it. And look. There's no fatha, there's no kasra, there's no dhamma. So if you don't know how to read without them, you won't be able to read. That's why I said Arabic is a must. Understood? You think it's rocket science. I'm being honest, it's very simple. It's very simple. Huh? Never, not for me. حاشا وكلا أن تقول ذلك. Don't say that. It's not for me. It's for everyone. Especially the Arabic provided in this book. Ajib, jiddan. The most simplest of Arabic I've seen. Very simple. As if he's talking to babies. Yes. فيقول المصنف رحمه الله تعالى نفعنا الله به وبعلومه في الدارين. The Musannif, the author, says rahmatullahi alayhi, may Allah benefit us with his knowledge and benefit us with him also, in the hereafter, for what he has left for us on this earth. باب فرائض الوضوء وسننه وفضائله. The chapter of the obligations of wudu and the sunnah of wudu and the meritorious acts which are below the sunnah which relate to wudu. Now for those of students that study a little bit of an-nahw, is babu mubtada or no? لا. باب ليس بمبتدأ. باب ليس بمبتدأ. ويذكره، هل يذكر هذه المسألة هنا؟ خلي أشوف. لا, not in this one. You have to go to the حاشية. In the حاشية, he provides you that هذا خبر لمبتدأ محذوف. It is a khabar of a mubtada that is deleted. Now, sorry, this sounds very grammatical, but as I'm telling you, Al-Imam Ibn Al-Uthaymin, Ibn Salih Al-Uthaymin, rahmatullah alayh, when he wrote in his sharh of Al-Ajrumiyya, you know what he said? He says that some of the ulama say grammar, it's door. It's literally babuhu hadid. Its door is made out of metal. Lakin what's inside it is literally gems of pearls and rubies. What does that mean? As you enter into it, it's very soft, it's easy. At the beginning, it's hard. But after that, it's extremely easy. But when you study Arabic, as a piece of advice, don't study Arabic by wanting to learn more grammar. No. At the beginning of your studying phase, you need to start with Arabic vocabulary. When you say vocabulary, you need to learn words. When a child starts speaking, what do they start saying? Mama, Baba, Dada. And then when they're hungry, what do they say? What do they say? Only one word, eat, isn't it? Eat, not even hungry. Hungry is too far for them. They start saying eat. How many words are those? Mama or Baba, 1 and 2, eat. And then Mama, Baba, eat, food. Food, they start connecting 3 words together. So what you do is you learn vocabulary that you use every day. Then after that, you literally take a pinch of grammar so you can understand what you're saying a little bit. And then you add on to that. When you start having literally a bucket of vocabulary that you can refer back to constantly, what happens is that it becomes easier for you to go to grammar now and use the force of grammar with your Arabic that you know of vocabulary, and you get better into the language, just like any other language. But to say that you would only study vocabulary alone without studying grammar, your Arabic will be flawed. And to say that you will study grammar without vocabulary, you would only be able to understand the technicalities of what you're reading, but you wouldn't be able to translate what is being said in the books. Does that make sense? It's like, for example, today, a person wants to become a man of principles. When I say principles, you want to study the principles of jurisprudence. That means the principles of fiqh, usulul fiqh. Where do the scholars derive the laws of Islam? Let's say this is wajib, this is fard, this is not fard. You must do this, you shouldn't do this. This is a prohibition, this is a sunnah. Where do the scholars get those from? You know, we say the Quran, the sunnah, the ijma' of the Sahaba. A person cannot just study that without being able to study, without first studying some of what is concluded by the scholars, that this is halal, this is haram, this is how you should do it, you should avoid this. When you study those, it means that you have the masail, you have the case studies. In law language that we speak today, if you go to university, they wouldn't tell you masail. They will tell you, you've studied a lot of case studies. So these of what we are doing right now are the conclusion of case studies. So those case studies that they've studied and given us precedents from them, and they give us a verdict, these are the verdicts that we learn. That this you should follow, this you shouldn't follow, this you should do, this you can't do this. Or this is okay if you do it. And then when you know those, now then you go back to the principles. What did they take it from? In international law terms, they either took it from what? From primary sources, or they took it from customary law, or they took it from elsewhere. If there is a case that exists from the past, let's say for example there was a case of the French and also English, if I'm not wrong, of a boat that they burnt, and from that they were able to bring in the idea of LLC, limited liability companies, so that there's an entity which is liable, but you as a person individually, you're not. I hope I'm making sense. I'm becoming a little bit into law, because this is my field that I studied as well. That's why I can use that to interpret this. Now, when you study those case studies, it becomes easy. So where did they take it from? There's a case study. There's a precedence already. So that's why you apply that over here. That's why you notice when lawyers go to the court, they use case studies that existed from before. So when you're studying this as well, you study these as verdicts of the case studies that they have done from their principles and the primary sources that they've used. And then when you're good at this, then you go to learn the primary sources that they use. Secondary sources, that's sources that they use. Do we have customary law? Yes, we do. Al-urf, the practices of people, until it becomes customary. Customary is something that is practiced so much that it's become the norm. As long as it doesn't go against the laws of Allah. Understand that? Does that make sense? Does that make sense, inshallah? So that's how we look at studying fiqh and studying any other subject, inshallah, when it comes to Arabic as well. Now coming to this, هذا باب. You can write this down. It might not exist in any of your texts. هذا, write it before babu. هذا باب. هذا, this is a what? It's a mubtada, marfu'un, mabna ala sukun. It's built upon sukun. It's going to remain like that, whether we like it or not. Understood? هذا باب فرائض الوضوء. Now, babu is mudafun, fara'idi mudafun ilayh. فرائض الوضوء وسننه. This is واو للعطف وفضائله. What do they say? فأما فرائضه فسبعة. When it comes to the fara'id of wudu, the obligations of wudu, they are 7. Now before we go any further, something that I want to make clear for you. The ulama, they provide that على المذاهب الثلاثة. 3 madhahib. When we say 3 madhahib in this case, I want you to listen to me carefully. We're referring to the Maliki madhab, to the Shafi'i madhab, to the Hanbali madhab. And I'm trying to go according to the chronological order. Basically the date order. Who comes first before the other? The Malikis, the Malikiyah, and the Shafi'iyah, and the Hanbaliyah. But we haven't included whom? The Ahnaf. Jazakumullah anna kulla khair. The Ahnaf are not included. Something that they say. The meaning of fara'id or fard, according to these madhahib, fard can mean muhattam, fard can mean wajib, and also fard can mean, another word is, Allah. I wrote it somewhere, and I don't see it right now. I think I left my notes at home. But it's fard, yes, it's fard, that's one. Fard, wajib and muhattam. Fard, wajib and muhattam, they all mean the same thing, except for one place. When it comes to Hajj. Hajj, fard and wajib are have two different meanings. They have two different scales. When it comes to Hajj and we say fard, the fard of Hajj, it means the pillar of Hajj. If you don't fulfill that, your entire Hajj is void, invalid. But a wajib can be compensated with what? Sacrifice. Isn't it? You slaughter and then it's fine. وَالْوَاجِبَاتُ غَيْرُ أَرْكَانٍ بِدَمٍ. As simple as it is. Lakin in every else place that you will find, in every other place, fard, wajib, muhattam, they all mean the same thing. It doesn't make any difference. Except for the Ahnaf. The Ahnaf say fard and wajib are different. And fard is above wajib. Understood? Fard is above wajib. But we disagree with them when it comes to that. Because there's no difference between fard and wajib. Only when it comes to Hajj, inshallah. So these are just technicalities which I want to show you the beauty of fiqh in itself and how it makes life easier for you, inshallah. So just take it like that. So what do we have? أَمَّا فَرَائِضُهُ فَسَبَعَةٌ. There are 7 obligations. One of the reasons why we study the obligations of wudu or the obligations of salah, the sunan of salah and the fada'il of salah. How are you? Okay? Inshallah. It's because you can separate the acts from one another. You know when to act on a sunnah, when you don't have to, when you should avoid everything about only the fard alone. Understood? Is that very clear? When it's better that you fulfill each one of them, the fara'id of your wudu, even if it's salah, and the sunan of your, forget about salah, let's just talk about wudu. Salah is a bit different. Wudu, when do you practice all of your fara'id with the sunan and the fada'il? When it's better to just let go of the sunnah because of the position you're at. When is it that you should avoid everything but the fara'id of wudu alone? Meaning you should only do the obligations of wudu and that's it. That's why we study the differences. I asked a student of mine once, if we do tamadbud, basically we rinse our mouth and we gargle water, isn't it? Is that among the obligations of wudu or among the sunan of wudu? The student asked what? Answered as sunnah. Mistake number 1. Another student said it's a fard. Point number 1. But then I asked another question. Yes, it's a fard, for example. But if I don't do gargling, is my wudu valid or not? Nearly all of them said, no, your wudu is not valid. Because they didn't understand clearly the difference between gargling water and washing your face. If I don't wash my face and I gargle water, would my wudu be valid? Of course not. It makes sense like that, isn't it? But then to bring it to this table here, this gathering that we have, this dars, or maybe this hadra over here, why should you know the differences? Why do you set the differences in between? Let's come to the issue of time. Last week we mentioned something about what? The shurut of salah or the shurut of wudu. What are the shurut? We said the conditions. Among the shurut are the entrance of time. In Arabic we call it as dukhulul waqt, the entrance of time. When time enters, you have to have wudu in order to pray. For every salah, likulli salatin waqtuha. Every single salah has its time. Inna salata kanat ala al-mu'minina kitaban mawquta. Upon the believers, indeed every salah has been and was and always will be at a point in time. Mawqut. The word mawqut is what? Fa'il or maf'ul? Mawqut. 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 Ismu fa'il or ismu maf'ul. Listen to it carefully. It rhymes together. Jazakumullah khairan. Let me tell you. That's why I tell you Arabic grammar is easy. If I tell you, for example, madroob, madloom, okay? Madloom. If we say madloom, is it going to be ismu fa'il? Is it a noun which is a fa'il, or is it a noun which is a maf'ul? Listen to the word properly. Zalim, madloom. Is it maf'ul? Madloom. Is it maf'ul or is it fa'il? Which one is it? Adam? Maf'ul. It's maf'ul. You just have to understand and have a clear hearing. That's what it is. That's why I tell you Arabic is extremely easy. This is what they say. It is so, the ulama say in Arabic, I forgot how they say it, but they say it's so easy that you don't even see it. How Allah is so apparent to you that you don't even see Him because of how apparent He is. It's so easy to the mind that you don't see the ease of it, you see the complexity of it. You see how difficult it is because the mind is used to solving complex issues. But the mind doesn't want to solve the most easiest of issues. You want to talk about Allah, you don't have to go so far. Where is Allah? Allah is within you already. Where did that soul come from? Where did those feelings come from? Where did that thinking process come from? If Allah did not embed it in your system, would you have found it yourself? Man have fought up to today to define the human mind and the human being. They have not been able to do so. And the only conclusion they come with is that there's a maker out there, or there's a greater force than what we can fathom. But because of their inad inside them, they don't want to say that Allah exists. Do you see how simple that is? It's common sense and the most simplest of point. Understood? It's so, for example, like when we said mazloom, I want you to tell me mathalan, maf'ul or fa'il. You listen to the rhyme. Don't listen to anything else. The rhyme goes together. Maf'ul, mazloom, like that. Understood? If I tell you mathalan, this word is under the scale of either fa'il or fa'ul. Listen to me carefully. Fa'il or fa'ul. I'm going to read the word zaloom. Is it fa'il or fa'ul? Zaloom. Allah yaftah alaykum. People that haven't even studied Arabic, do you see how easy that is? Zaloom, fa'ul. It's all grammar. That's how simple it is. You just need to open your ears and your mind and understand, look, the answer is just in front of me. I don't have to go any far. Does that make sense? That's how it is. And when you're even studying this right now, the answer is literally right in front of you. Now when it comes to time, this is what I need you to understand. Every salah, as it has its appointed time, their time is stretched according to the time limit it has. Does that make sense? If, for example, Dhuhr time starts from 1 p.m., it's stretched all the way to when Asr begins. So let's say Asr begins at what time? To the Ahnaf, Asr begins around 6:25. For the other madhahib, Asr begins around 5:30 or 5:20. So let's make it 5 o'clock, 5 o'clock, which is not the accurate time actually, but 5 o'clock. So 1 to 5. You have from 1 to 5 to pray Salatu al-Dhuhr. In that time as you want to pray, anytime you want to pray, you can do all of the necessary acts that you need in wudu, isn't it? You can do the fara'id of wudu, you can do the sunan of wudu, you can do the fada'il of wudu. Basically, you can do the obligations of wudu, you can do the sunan of wudu, and you can do those which are below the sunnah, but you're rewarded if you do them. When is it better to just avoid those and do the fara'id alone? Mathalan, for example, if I would tell you, when should you avoid everything? Let's just take that should be the most simplest. When should you avoid everything except for the fara'id of wudu alone? Is, for example, yes. For how long? 10 minutes is too long. Can be too long as well. Depending on the person. You're right. He is right. But it depends on how long. According to the According to the Shafi'iyya and the Hanbaliyya, if I'm not wrong, you have, I think, to the Ahnaf as well. If I'm not wrong, you tell me. You can only meet the salah if you do the salam within the time. Basically, you do assalamu alaikum. I know that for the Hanbali school, that's how it is. If you do the salam before the end of time, basically you're doing the salam and the time ends. The salah is accepted. But to the Maliki, it's different. All you need to catch the salah is you catch 1 rak'ah within the time. Does that make sense? So let's say if Dhuhr time ends at 5 o'clock, you were asleep. By the time you wake up, you only have 5 minutes. You're wearing shorts. Listen to me carefully. You're wearing shorts. Your qamis is dirty. You can't find another one. Those 5 minutes are disappearing. And you need to catch that salah. And maybe you can just find a top. Okay, or maybe you're wearing your clothes, but you're trying to rush for the salah. The only time you have is to do wudu and catch a rak'ah in salah, of the salah. What do you do then? Do you do everything and delay your wudu, or do you do only what you need? Only what you need. How do you do only what you need if you don't know the fara'id of wudu? Is that very clear? How do you do only what you need if you don't know the fara'id of wudu? Now, to top it up and make it much, much easier, that you're going to learn as we move along today, inshallah, it's like I'm explaining to you what I'm supposed to read. So I'm explaining to you beforehand what I'm supposed to read. At-tartib, which is, or al-muwala, which is to follow an order. To the Shafi'iyya, if you don't, your wudu is invalid. There was a case of a married man who divorced his wife. And I heard this a very long time ago. And I was reminded recently. I think you remember as well. Yes, you remember. There was a man that got married. There was a problem between him and his wife. He divorced him. Maybe three talaqs. Now when he divorced, he went to every sheikh to see if he can rectify that marriage. No one can do so. Then he went to one of the sheikhs and he said, look, you divorced your wife under what condition? He said that I told my wife, if you don't pray on time or so and so according to the ibadah, then the talaq has passed. There are 3 and that's it. There's nothing that I can do to do what? To come back to you. The sheikh said, look, before we even judge if the talaq has passed or not, let's call the lady. When the lady was called, as she was doing wudu, she was messing up her muwala, her tartib. What is it? Following the order. Her order was being messed up. Because the sheikh is not a Maliki scholar, the sheikh is a Hanafi scholar or a Shafi'i scholar, he said, look, she can't even do wudu herself properly. The talaq is not valid. You can go back to your wife. Do you see how fiqh saved the marriage? So you need to understand that. The only difference is, in the Malikiyah, following an order is not a fard. It's a sunnah. Does that make sense? Following an order is not a fard. It's a sunnah. Not that we don't recognize it. It's a sunnah. If you are to let go of a sunnah on purpose, you don't have a valid reason, and you just decide to ignore it, and you keep on repeating it, you might end up being sinful. Does that make sense? A sunnah comes directly from whom? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, something to mention to you of beauty that I want for the students of knowledge to understand. When we come to define matters, or maybe words of terminologies, do not define them from your understanding of Arabic. You might be good at Arabic, but you need to understand to define them after you've sat down with the scholars. The ulama or the alim, the sheikh, will define to you the term according to the subject that you are learning from the sheikh. If you're learning hadith from a sheikh, that sheikh will define to you what hadith means. If you're learning the word sunnah from a sheikh who is an usuli, that knows the principles properly, usul al-fiqh, usul al-hadith, all of those. And when we say usuli, we mean a person so good at usul al-fiqh. The sheikh will literally do what? Define it to you according to his expertise. Because the word sunnah does not contain one definition. It has a definition according to the subject that you learn. Does that make sense? You cannot define sunnah according to one definition, because this is how it is. هناك تعريف السنة هذه كلمة السنة تعريف عند المحدثين, to the muhaddithun, the scholars of hadith. There is a تعريف عند الأصوليين, the scholars of usul, and there is a تعريف عند الفقهاء, the scholars of fiqh. And they say, although they differed on this, that ما فعله النبي, according to fiqh, ما فعله النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, that which the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم did, وأظهره, and he manifested it, meaning he did it in front of his people, في جماعة, he did it openly, in front of his Sahaba. He didn't just do that alone, وواظب عليه, and he lived it. عايش هذه السنة. He lived the sunnah. He constantly did it. He did it, and in front of his Sahaba, constantly. It wasn't a secret anymore. However, then the scholars, some of them argued, if we are going to define it that way, then how about, let's say, the 2 raka'at before Salatul Subh? Basically, when you pray your Fajr, we don't call it Fajr, we call it Subh. Because the 2 raka'at before the main Salah, those are the ones that we call Fajr. What about Witr? What about Witr? Did the Prophet ﷺ do Witr in the masjid? No. He did Witr in his house. But it's something that he frequently did. What? But the ulama, some of them argue that because he did it frequently in front of Aisha, even she is a Sahabiya, so you can still be argued that he constantly did it in front of the companions of his, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And far and beyond, although some of them add that he doesn't have to have, وَلَمْ وَدَاوَمَ عَلَيْهَا وَإِن لَمْ يُظْهِرْهُ في جماعة. He lived on it even if he did not make it manifest and apparent to his Sahaba constantly, but he lived on it all the time. That's what he did. So we define a sunnah like that. Does that make sense? عند الفقهاء مرة. لكن عند المحدثين, to the muhaddithin, they go even further. His af'al, his aqwal, what he said, what he did, and what he accepted, إقراراته, and far and beyond, وصفاته, his what? Shama'il, his characteristics, his attributes which belong to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That is according to the muhaddithun. لكن عند الفقهاء, that's not what we look at. Why عند الفقهاء is limited? Because we are focused on something far different than this. We don't want to look at the sifat of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We don't want to look at the iqrarat of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what he accepted or not. We want to look at the sunnah of what he did, of what he might, maybe let's add what he approved, maybe what he might have said. But when it comes to his sifat, we don't add that. Does that make sense? وعند الأصول is a bit different, although they are quite close to one another. So we need to understand what a sunnah stands for according to what we are studying, inshallah. So now let's just read along, and then perhaps, what time is it? Yeah. And then perhaps we might add a few things and finish off for the next week, inshallah. Okay, there's a lot of masail here, but I'm going to skip some and just keep what's necessary. Okay? فَأَمَّا فَرَائِضُ الْوُضُوء فَسَبَعَةٌ. The fara'id of wudu, they are 7. النِّيَّةُ عِنْدَ غَسْلِ الْوَجْهِ. Intention during the washing of the face. Listen, there are 2 things here. النِّيَّة, intention, number 1. غَسْلُ الْوَجْهِ. غَسْل means washing. مَسْح means wiping. If you don't understand the meanings of those, you have to write those down. Ghasl means what? Washing. Mash means wiping. If you wipe your face, is that accepted? If I add water in my hand and then rub them off, then wipe over, would that be accepted? No. I have to wash, isn't it? Until your face is filled with water. And there's something called niyyah. Now when it comes to a niyyah, the ulama provide that there are 6 things that you need to understand that relate to niyyah. But I wouldn't want to mention those. It becomes more technical. But we're going to teach this in a private class, inshallah, for those who want to take it further from this. And we'll let you know when it starts. And niyyah, when do you do it? If you do intention, mathalan, you leave here, you go to the toilet, you did the intention here, then you go to the bathroom, or maybe to the wudu area, and you make your intention, would that intention be valid? Because the text here said, النِّيَّةُ عِنْدَ غَسْلِ الْوَجْهِ. When you are doing the washing of your face, would it be valid? Would it be valid? Yes and no. Would it be valid? Yes and no. I agree with both of you. It's yes. Each one of you said yes, it's yes. But at the same time, it's no. This is the issue. When you make the intention where you are, and you want to go do wudu, that intention should not leave you. From there where you are, all the way to the wudu area, you should be focusing on that intention. But the moment in the middle, if a Hassan comes to you and says, Assalamu alaikum, akhi, kayf al-hal, and all of that, and then your mind diverts immediately, your intention cuts off, basically your mind does not focus on the intention, khalas. Your intention invalidates, yes?
But in that same instance, someone's going to speak to you. The second you turn back to go and do what you're doing, is that not sort of a reconnection of your intention?
How? So say it again?
So, right now, sit down. If I stand up to go and do what By the time I reach the door here, someone's going to speak to me. I've spoken to them. I spent 5 minutes speaking to them. The second I leave them, and I'm saying, okay, I'm going to do this.
That's a new intention. That's a new intention. Yeah. That's a new intention. Because you've returned your mind back to doing wudu. So you've refreshed your intention. The one that we're talking about here is, for example, you made the intention now, and then while you meet Adam on the way, you speak to Adam, you forgot yourself that you did the intention, you went and did wudu. That intention would not count anymore. Because you did not pay attention to the fact that you made intention earlier. It's simple, for example, like this. You stand in salah, and you have to make intention for the salah that you are praying. Let's say, for example, you want to pray salat al-dhuhr. You've entered the masjid, you stood on the musalla here, right? And then while the iqamah has completed, you made your intention, but then your neighbor talks to you while you want to start prayer. The moment you want to start prayer, your mind literally just forgot itself from the salah that you're supposed to do. Your intention is gone. Because your mind while you're making the intention has to be connected to that one thing until you fulfill the deed. That's why the ulama, they say, can I get a tissue please? Because I don't have one. The ulama, they say that when you make an intention, let's say for example, you made the intention while you're washing your hands. You have to follow that attention along until you're doing what? You're washing your face. Would it be accepted if while you're washing your hands at the very beginning and you make the intention, but when you're doing your face, you did not repeat your intention? Yes, it would be. Because you're still in that position of what? Of wudu. But when, for example, it's this case, you're doing wudu, you're washing all the way to your hands. You haven't completed your wudu, right? While you're doing that, you get a phone call. You focus on your phone call, your limbs go dry, and then you come back and carry on. Would that be accepted? Would that be accepted? You've got to start all over again, yes. But sometimes it depends as well. The problem with fiqh, you don't get an answer straight away. It's not just that. It's even this, what you're doing right now, intention is gone.
Can I speak to someone while doing wudu?
Yeah, you can. Not in salah though, that was prohibited. وَقُومُوا لِلَّهِ قَانِتِينَ سيقول وَقُومُوا لِلَّهِ قَانِتِينَ قَانِتِينَ بمعنى, what does it mean? ساكتين. وَقُومُوا لِلَّهِ ساكتين. Quietly, yes. Because there was a time the Sahabas, they used to shout a lot. When they were in salah, bear this in mind. The Sahaba were just like us. Allah took them to a different level because they did not just live with the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They lived at a time when it was their most extremely difficult times in life. It's like, for example, I know this doesn't make sense at all, but I'll just give it to you, you'll understand it. In the 21st century, when Bitcoin started, did anybody believe in it? No one did, right? No one doesn't know about Bitcoin. But everyone right now, if you tell them about Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Ethereum, that's how it works. Is that correct? Everybody wants to believe in it. Now, if a Sahaba at that time declared the Islam, did anyone listen to him? Umar ibn Khattab went to the most closest friend Abu Jahl and told him, look, I become Muslim. Abu Jahl, instead of telling him, no, you didn't. He said, don't do it, Umar. Listen to this carefully. He didn't say, no, you didn't. He said, don't do it. He said, I've already done it. He shut the door and he slammed the door in his face. That's what he did. Umar was not happy enough. He went to look for the BBC of the entire Mecca, so he can do what? Advertise to everyone that Umar has become Muslim. He was looking for trouble himself. Imagine living at those times. If you do that today, the F-16s are going to be on your head. Anyhow, an-niyah. The reason why an-niyah is a great issue right now, especially in the world that we live in today, is because of the constant criticism niyyah gets. There's been this idea of a niyyah in itself is bid'ah. They push aside niyyah so much. No, you don't need intention. If you made intention from home, you came to pray Salatul Dhuhr, your niyyah over here is accepted. There's no hadith that says so. And there is no alim that says so. Honestly speaking. Even for those who are the Atharis, tell them to read back in their madhab, which is the Hanbali. Atharis are Hanbalis, although there are different types of Hanbalis. Them and the other madhahib, each one of them agree with the fact that a niyyah is required in every single part of your ibadah. I'll give you a simple example. I wouldn't even take you anywhere. I'll bring you back to salah. If I stand over here right now, people have prayed dhuhr. Okay, mathalan, we prayed asr. Al-Akh Yasir was praying right now. He completed his asr, isn't it? Or did he complete your dhuhr? You did your asr, right? How would I know he's praying asr, whereas the amount of raka'at of dhuhr and asr are the same? Huh? Never. Never. Never would it be waqt. Never would it be time. Waqt and time, they're all the same thing. Never would it be time. I'll tell you why. Not when the imam, even if I saw you, I cannot follow you. I'll tell you why. Jazakumullah khairan. Niyyah belongs here. Does that make sense? Can anybody see it? No. Do we say you should do talaffuz in our madhab? No. Only the Shafi'iyah, they say talaffuz biha sunnah. It's a sunnah to do what? Talaffuz. They have the hujjah though. They have the hujjah. You got to understand that. You can't refute them. The hujjah is solid. And Imam Shafi'i, when he literally brought the hujjah up, it is solid and it's helping a lot of people. There is a person known as al-mustankih. Who is al-mustankih? Not the one who is, you know, when you study the word al-mustankih, this is why you need a alim, you need a teacher, a sheikh to teach you this. Mustankih, someone might think the one who wants to do nikah. No. Not the one that wants to do nikah. Mustankih is the one that has chronic doubt. Mustankih in fiqh terminology is the one that has chronic doubt. Mustankih, mim, sin, ta, nun, kaf, ha. Mustankih, mim, sin, ta, nun, kaf, ha. Mustankih. Okay? You got to understand that, ikhwah. Studying fiqh is really important. The reason why we are divided like this, and I'm not even saying divided because everyone prays the way they want. Some of them fold their hand below their navel, some of them fold their hand. That's not what I'm talking about. The reason why we're refuting one another is because we have pushed aside authority. A madhab is an authority upon us. Understand that. The madhahib that we have, they are authorities upon us. There is no caliphate. Mark my words. There is no caliphate. There is no sultanate. There is no rulership that ever existed without a madhab. The Abbasid Khilafah. They existed at their time. They followed the madhab of Kufa. The Turks. Who do you think the Turks are? They are the greatest of Ahnaf than even those in Asia. They are very strong Ahnaf and you never mess about with them. The entire caliphate was built up on the Hanafi madhab. So you better understand this. A madhab is literally a ruler on top of our heads. It's nothing else but the ultimate ruler on top of our heads. We do not act without the madhab guiding us. Today we are studying over here. What's guiding us today? You're going to stand in salah, it's the madhab that's guiding you. You're going to go home and communicate with your spouse. How do you literally keep that relationship, and what makes your relationship to be valid? To not fall into haram, not to fall into a talaq, not to fall into an invalidation. A madhab teaches you. What keeps you together? Your ibadah. A madhab teaches your ibadah. Understood? So let's not look down at madhab. Madhab literally, and every madhab had its strong hujjah. Now when it comes to an-niyyah, mathalan al-mustankih, a person who has chronic doubt. This person who enters into salah, every time they make intention, as it's dhuhr time, they keep on doubting, have I made intention, have I not made intention? Have I made intention, have I not made intention? And I've seen so many of them right in front of here, in this masjid. Do you know what's best for them? Even in our madhab, the ulama, they say, it is best for this person to do what? To utter it, so for their own sanity. So they know what type of salah or ibadah they're doing. Mathalan, for example, when you go to Umrah, what do you say? Labbaik Allahumma bi-Umrah. That is what? What is that? Is that the talbiyah or is that intention? Intention. Do you make that intention in your heart, or do you say by uttering it? If you don't utter it, is your umrah accepted? Never. Understood? Is your umrah accepted? No. You have to say it. Like for example, Hajj. There are 3 types of Hajj. We have the Ifrad, singled out Hajj. You have the Qiran, Hajj and Umrah combined without an interval. And then Tamattu', Umrah and Hajj, but there's an interval in the middle. Now when you are literally making the intention, you have to make the intention, which one are you doing? But with talaffuz, with utterance. Don't the Shafi'iyya come in? The Shafi'iyya come in, and the other madahib accept as well. So if you just say, I'm just going to say in my heart, it doesn't work. Does that make sense? Like when it comes to other ibadat, you have to say it in your heart. Mathalan, if we say the matter of intention is not that important, the Imam is leading. The Imam broke his wudu, invalidated his salah, and the ma'mum right behind him has to lead what? This salah. أبطل عليه دونهم واستخلفوا كموته أو عجزه أو يرعفوا. This one is known as the mustakhlif. Istikhlaf. He takes over the position of the Imam. Would he just enter there with the intention that he's being led, or now does he change his intention now that he's the Imam? What happens? He has to switch. Otherwise, his salah and your salah, all of them are invalid. Because we don't know whether he's the Imam or not. Does that make sense? When I enter salah to lead, mathalan, as the Imam, I lead the salah for every single salah we have without having to specify that I'm an Imam, even if I do so. But when it comes to Salatul Jumu'ah, I must specify I'm an Imam. And you must specify that you're a ma'mum. You don't do so, your salah will be shaky. You have to understand that. Because Salatul Jumu'ah is not similar to every salah. Are you about to leave? Or after Maghrib? قبل Maghrib. Okay, we'll make it a little bit short. Understood? Intention. That's why you have to be very careful. I'll come to teach you in Salah, inshallah. You'll come to understand. Why don't the Malikiyya follow a person that's just praying in the masjid? Why don't the Malikiyya follow the person that's just praying in the masjid? If, for example, I know, definitely, I'm pretty sure, 90% of the times, as Brother Yasir entered the masjid to pray, and our dear brother came there, and also our dear brother here as well, all of them 3 came to pray. They definitely came to pray what salah now? Asr. But can I follow them? No. There's a reason behind it. Does that make sense? There's a reason behind it. That's why you have to be very careful. It's all related to intention. It's all related to intention. Be careful, ikhwah. Don't follow this narrative. Intention is unnecessary. You're going to invalidate all of your ibadah. You have to understand that, yes.
So in the Maliki fiqh, if Ramadan,
Yeah.
I haven't prayed Isha,
Yeah.
I've come to the masjids and they're praying, they've started Tarawih. In the Maliki fiqh, can I join their Tarawih and pray, and then at the end of their 2, stand up and pray 2, and my intention is Isha, because the Imam's intention, of course, was Tarawih. So in the Maliki fiqh,
I'll give you 2 answers. Both of them are no and no. Number 1, you follow the Imam while they're praying Taraweeh and you haven't prayed Isha. Your Taraweeh in itself is invalid because you haven't prayed the Fard. I'm literally covering a lot of Salah rather than wudu. Look, if for example you haven't prayed Salatul Maghrib and you're praying Isha, and in Isha you remember you haven't prayed Maghrib, your Isha is invalid. You have to pray Maghrib first. If your previous Salah you remembered it, even in Salah that you haven't prayed it, you have to break that Salah and pray the previous one first. Does that make sense? How would it be a Sunnah Salah comes first before a Fard if you have to break a Salah for break a Fard Salah for a Fard Salah? Does that make sense? I'm coming to that. Understand that your Isha in itself that you want to pray then is invalid. That's number 1. Number 2, the Imam is literally leading Salah what? Taraweeh. Can it be similar? First of all, it's a downgrade of intention. This is a Sunnah and that is a Fard. Can you put them at the same level? No, you can't. Are they the same salah? No, you can't. Can you follow the Imam now? No, you can't. For two reasons. Does that make sense? Yeah, for us, we take salah extremely, what is it? Wait, extremely serious. We never mess about with salah. Assalamu wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. When it comes to salah, basically the main pillars of Islam, 5 pillars of Islam, no jokes on that. That's why you notice, even come to Aqidah, Al-Imam Malik, rahimahullah ta'ala, when the man came and asked him, Ya Imam, Allah says, Ar-Rahmanu ala al-Arshi istawa. What do you say about this? What did he do, you think? He looked down for a long time. By the time he lifted his head up, he was all red. Ihmarra wajhu. He is sweating. He became extremely angry. And then that's when he came with the famous what? Famous quote. He said that, Al-kayfu ghayru ma'lum. Was-su'alu anhu bid'ah. And I see that you are a man of bid'ah. Ukhruj anhu. Asking about it in itself is bid'ah. And also, knowing how it is, ghayru ma'lum. It doesn't make sense in the mind. And nobody has an answer to this. And I see yourself as a man of bid'ah. Get out of my class. He kicked him out of the class. Because Imam Malik never entered into these. He took matters related to the pillars of Islam as no joke. Does that make sense? And Imam Malik rahimahullah ta'ala had 70 people in the masjid of Al-Masjid al-Nabawi. He said, you see these men in the masjid, 70 of them. If I am to ask these men of rain, I can go to them and ask them to ask Allah to rain, and Allah will make it rain. But when it comes to Masail Fiqhiyah, I'll never go to them. He's that precise. Does that make sense? His Muwatta, they say, if Imam Malik was to live a little bit longer, those 1,000 hadith which came from all the way 7,000 all the way to 1,000, today would have been narrowed down to maybe 500. Because he was literally narrowing down the text. He was narrowing it down, making it short, making extremely precise. That's why no one says otherwise when it comes to the Muwatta. When it comes to literally a hadith, sahiha, authentic hadith in the Muwatta, no one questions that. Understood? That's why we're very careful when it comes to these masail. Okay. Now we're going to skip because I don't want to open up other doors. النية عند غسل الوجه, making intention during the washing of the face. وغسل الوجه, and washing the face. Now those are two things. Niyyah, intention, and washing the face. So you follow them together, however. وغسل اليدين إلى المرفقين. You have to wash your hands all the way to your elbows. Do you add all the way up? The Shafi'iyah, they say yes. According to the hadith that they have, that Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala will literally make your body glow and fill you with huli, which is ornaments and that, up to where you do your wudu. Like to us, that's no. As long as it's ibadah, it's precise. We are taught to do wudu up to صَلُّوا كَمَا رَأَيْتُمُونِي أُصَلِّي, which is, oh wudu, do it as how you saw me, up to here. Just above your elbow. The moment you finish your elbow, khalas. Nothing extra counts. وَغَسْلُ الْيَدَيْنِ إِلَى الْمِرْفَقَيْنِ وَمَسْحُ جَمِيعِ الرَّأْسِ. عند الشوافع is بعض الرأس, some of the head. To us, it's all of it. Do you go back and forth? No. You can either start from the bottom and up, or you can start from the front to the back. It depends on how you want to start. One is the fard. Does that make sense? But we said there's a difference between ghasl and masah. Ghasl is to? Ghasl is to? Are you sure? Are you sure? Or are you following along? Masah is to wipe. I want you to understand these terminologies. We don't say wash your head, otherwise you catch a cold. Yeah, you wipe your head. Yeah. Now how about those who have ponytails or they have long hair? What do you do? Yes? No. You just wipe all the way to the bottom. Does that make sense? Yeah, just one. That's fard. And وَغَسْلُ الرِّجْلَيْنِ إِلَى الْكَعْبَيْنِ. When it comes to washing the feet, you wash the feet all the way to the ankles, just above the ankles. وَالْفَوْرُ. Now the issue of al-fawr, the ulama, they discussed about this. Al-fawr means is to follow up together without an interval. Without any interval. If you literally, when we say an interval, no breaks. Does that make sense? No breaks. You do wudu with breaks, you might even invalidate your wudu. It's like the question that was asked. What if I pick up a phone call? I think you asked, isn't it? Or maybe I'm talking to someone asked. And then I literally did my wudu, I've done my wudu halfway and then I let go. That will depend. Simply put, you have to make sure that your bodily limbs do not go dry. What do we call dry? Is when you literally look at your body and you can't see water. You only see very little trace of water. Your body now is drying up. Okay? I'll just make it as simple as that. And what tadliku? Now in the Shafi'iyya, I believe in the Hanbaliyya as well, there's no such thing as tadliq. What is tadliq? Is to rub over. The Shafi'iyya say you punch your hand in a bucket or under the tap, that's it, you're done. Hanbaliyya say. But in the Malikiyya, that's not wudu. Even if you take a dive in the swimming pool. Although swimming pools, their water has a lot of shubha, a lot of doubt on it. But what we mean is taking a dive doesn't mean you're fine. Only for the hand. When it comes to that, the Hanafi are really good. Make intention, you've done it, take a dive, khalas. Your janaba is finished. Is that correct? Do you get what I mean? For us, that's not how you do it. You have to rub over all of your limbs. Even if you're in the biggest bath ever, you must rub over your limbs and you must collect water. So let's say you're in a beach, let's say you're in a river, you're showering, or you're swimming, you must stop, take water and do your wudu. Understood? And فهذه سبعة. And these are 7. فالمصنف رحمه الله تعالى يستمر وسننهي بهذا. لكن يجب عليك, but however, it is a must upon you. We said wajib is what? The same as? The word wajib is the same as? Hatm. Muhattam is the same as? Is the same as? Fard. Jazakumullah khairan. Those are 3 terminologies, don't forget. لكن يجب عليك. Can you hear the word يجب? يجب is a verb now, not a noun anymore. It's a verb. This verb still refers back to the same word as wajib. يجب عليك في غسل وجهك, in the washing of your face, أن تخلل شعر لحيتك. Now this was not included in the fara'id, but he's including it now. تخليل الشعر وخلل الشعر ووالك الوضوء. صاحب أسفل, what does he say? وخلل الشعر. You have to fill in your beard with water. أن تخلل شعر لحيتك, the hair of your beard. إن كان شعر اللحية, if the hair of your beard, خفيفا, if it's light. What does that mean? If I have thick beard, do I have to make it wet? You don't have to go in between, right? Yeah. Do you have to go in between? If it's thick. And how do we classify as thick beard and non-thick beard? Jazakumullah khair. What you can see, if I can see through your skin, that's not thick. If I cannot see through your skin, where is thick? Basically, I cannot see through your skin, that's thick. Now, in the Maliki school, it's unnecessary to go all the way inside. In the Hanafi, you must. Your beard, and you must carry a comb. And then you comb it all together. Is that clear? Sorry, the Ahnaf are not going to like me so much.
Take water.
Yes. Yeah, for us, no. With your beard, all you do is just this. Khalas. You don't have to go inside. Okay, إن كان شعر اللحية خفيفا. Now listen carefully. خفيف means light. ثقيل means, it's the opposite of, in this case it's heavy, but basically the word ثقيل means heavy, but over here we'll call it thick, because you can't call heavy beard. It's not heavy on the scales, it's just thick on your face. That's what it is. تظهر البشرة تحته. That's the definition. تظهر البشرة تحته. Your skin appears under it. That's what we define as light beard. وإن كان شعر اللحية كثيفا, and if the hair of your beard is thick, فلا يجب عليك. It is not a must upon you تخليلها, to fill it with water. وكذلك يجب عليك في غسل يديك, and it is a must, obligatory upon you, while you are washing your hands basically, أن تخلل أصابعك على المشهور, according to the famous opinion of the madhab, or basically the rajih of the madhab, the strongest opinion and that which is followed by the strongest of dalil in the madhab, while you're washing your hands all the way to your elbows, you must include the washing of through your asabi', your fingers. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? It's like that. فروضه خمس فتنوي غسلك وعم كل الجسم بالماء ودلك وخلل الشعر ووالك الوضوء والسنة الاستنشاق والتمضمض. Any question there? These, what I just read to you, are literally for فرائض الغسل, when you're taking a bath. But for فرائض الوضوء, it's a bit different. فرائض الوضوء 7 عدها. فنية وغسل وجه بعدها وغسلك اليدين بالمرافق ومسح كل الرأس بالمفارق وغسل رجليك بكعبيك استقر والدلك والفور بذكر انقدر. Next week we're going to cover وقل 8 عدة مسنون فابدأ بغسل اليد للكوعين. We're going to cover the sunan of wudu and the fadail of wudu. You see the difference. And then if we have time, we're going to cover the entire process of wudu. But I'm not going to come with water. I'm just going to do it for you so you can see through it. You understood? Inshallah. I think we've took a long time. You've asked questions in the middle. I will take one question and come on. Yes.
Sorry, I didn't get it.
No, that's fine.
But we have to do wudu in a place, a purity, clean place. In this country, where we have bathroom, we have a toilet, sink together. What's the ruling on that? Because
it's fine. It's fine, yeah. If you have children in your house, then you always have to make sure that your hygiene level is a bit high, because they always make the toilets dirty. You get what I mean? However, you have a bath, you can do wudu in the bath. You can even do wudu in the sink, because you only use the sink for brushing your teeth, maybe washing your face and that. Unless if you are a person who does not understand what hygiene means and then you literally urinate in your sink, then it's fine. Yes.
Yeah, so this, I didn't understand that this is a bit contentious matter that goes into this country. When you have your wudu in Nigeria, where I came from, and you have a socks on, when you lose your wudu, after when you're reading your wudu, you can just wipe over the socks. And I had the same ruling applies to people that actually wear stubborn. So when I got into this, because someone was saying that it's not acceptable except you are wearing your whole, or probably except your socks is a bit thick. So I wanted to explain on that.
رخص مسح الخف الأنثى أو ذكر في حضر من غير حد أو سفر بشرط جلد طاهر قد خرز. Oh, mashallah, you came really early. يتابع المشي لكعب حرز بكامل الطهارة المائية بلا ترفه ولا معصية. What does that mean? بشرط, with the condition, جلد, only skin socks. Jild, it should be skin socks. The reason, you notice these abiyat, these lines of poetry that I read, they sound really nice, isn't it? But when you come to dissect them, the scholars will literally just sit down and dissect one word. Shart jild. Why did he say shart jild? Does that jild include socks? Basically fabric, not socks. Fabric. Does it include silk? Does it include soap? That's what they would say. For example, وَزَغَبُ الرِّيشِ وَصُوفٌ وَوَبَرٌ. Over here you don't hear qamis, you hear زَغَبُ الرِّيشِ. What type of material? وَصُوف وَوَبَرٌ. In جُزَّ مِنْ حَيٍّ وَمَيْتٍ أَوْ شَعَرٍ. Things like those. You're questioning, okay, what does that mean? What we look at is the material that's used. If they're wearing skin socks, fine, well and good. As long as it fulfills the condition of khuf. But if we're wearing these type of material, our rubber socks, no matter how thick it might be, no wudu for you. One of the good things about not having mentioning that, not having an order as the fard of wudu in the madhab, is, for example, the times that we live in today. That's why you notice some even maybe some shuyukh or maybe some students of knowledge, they have a problem with the Maliki madhab. but they don't see the ease that it brings, especially in our times. You go to a service station, there's no one in that place. And our Sheikh gave this example. Only if you live in the West, you'll see the beauty of the madhab. You go to a service station, maybe it's daytime, you want to do wudu, there's no wudu area. There's only sinks which are free, and everyone else is not there. You have the opportunity. And you know, not following an order, it's not basically, you don't have to follow an order, it's a sunnah. If you neglect it in that moment because you have to, you can do so. Does that make sense? Your wudu would not be invalid. What would you do first? Would you wash your feet first? Or would you start washing your face first? I would go for my feet. I'll go for my feet. Because nobody is there. If another person comes in who doesn't understand our faith and doesn't understand our hygiene conditions, he will say, mate, what are you doing? You're putting your feet inside the sink. One came up with a joke and he said, look, haven't you heard the news? COVID literally just struck on our feet. You have to wash your feet with soap. When I saw that, I laughed so much. Yes.
You say the opposite, because we don't, no matter if it dries or not. So you can wash everything apart from your feet, let it dry. When it's empty, wash your feet.
That's another way. But why not take the shortcut? Don't worry, I love my madhab, so me and you can argue on that, but not with everyone. No more questions, jazakumullah khair. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa baraka ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. I'll see you guys inshallah next Monday, hopefully. Hopefully. Yeah, Alabi. Go.
Yeah.
Shall we go? I want to go home as well.
Today, I was rushing a lot of traffic.
No reason. Can you return these to the office? The airport under the if you're ready. You're going to come and read after Maghrib. You come and read as well. But you're going to cross tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm going to be here tomorrow. I'm going to be here tomorrow.
You're going to be here tomorrow.
All right. That's fine.
If you want, you can come on Wednesday. Sure. How are you? Doing well?
Yeah, I'm driving. Yeah, I'm driving in traffic. Just 60 minutes.
I've only got another 2 weeks left of the month.
Just go down from City Airport. So I tried, that's why I plan to go home and
tí náà mi ò
No, he was useful.
mi ò gbọ́ yẹn tí o sọ.
Àwọn ọmọ abúlé fẹ́ bọ̀. Àwọn ọmọ bí lè gbọ́ ọ̀pọ̀ ní ṣe wọ́n ń àwọn tí wọ́n fẹ́ wọ́n máa ń tẹ́lá tẹ́lọ̀ kan ní.
Then what happens as you form your twins? They